All right. Awesome. Well, hello everyone. It's Sandra Gwines with Biz Blab Brand, and tonight I have Annalisa Parent on. And I love her name because my daughter's name is kind of similar, so we just jibed because of that. And she is an author and a writing coach, and I had the wonderful experience of working with her last week and just learned so much from her. And if you guys have writer's block, or if you're struggling with how to tell your story, this is your girl. The hour I had on the phone with her was just so valuable. So I'm hoping that you guys will get a lot out of tonight. Just some really good nuggets. And I'm going to let Annalisa kind of introduce herself. And for those who don't know me, I will type my website on the bottom. It is brandyoulove.com. I am a brand coach, and I work with busy women who are juggling family and business and are usually building and branding their business after dark. And so we're a unique bunch that are busy during the day and kind of juggling everything. And usually at these crazy hours, it's probably 10 o'clock Eastern time. Yes. I am online. Yeah, I'm online with my crew, and we are, chipping away and building our business. So if that's you and it resonates with you, please do follow me. And I hope you guys will enjoy today's show. I'm typing in the box. And if you guys have questions, you guys can do a /Q in the chat, and it'll pop up in our questions box. And it makes it easier for us to kind of follow along. And I know Annalisa has a ton of yummy, good gems about writing. If you follow her on Facebook or any of social media, you can tell she's always posting some really good content. So guys, follow her. She's amazing. So Annalisa, what's up?
Oh, I'm so glad to be here with you. This is so exciting. It is indeed 10 o'clock on the East Coast. You can see my dog is fast asleep back there. She thinks it's bedtime. So yeah, so let me tell you a bit about me and what I do. So I've been a writer pretty much since the day I was born. I think I was a storyteller. I had my first poem published when I was in the 4th grade, and I had to read it on the State House lawn. And it just
awesome.
From there. And so I published my first novel. It was co-authored in December of 2014 and launched this business shortly thereafter as a writing coach. I have published in virtually all genres. I haven't written a crime fiction yet, but I've written a lot of poetry, got a lot of poetry published in 2015, screenplays. I've written for television, novels, short stories. So this is why I feel really comfortable working with writers in all genres around those different genres and also the craft that's involved in doing that. So it's really exciting for me. It's really rewarding. A lot of the work that I do is around people who feel stuck for one reason or another. They have some anxiety around finishing a project, around starting a project. And you know firsthand that I sort of walk people through a set of really
uncomfortable questions. It was great.
Yeah. So it's fun, it's rewarding, and at the end people are laughing and smiling, and I love that.
And they have a finished product, or they have something tangible.
Yes, they always do. They always do.
Very cool. So I've been kind of following you on social media, which is where I met you in one of the groups. And one of the things that I love is you're always sharing, really valuable information. And it's, of course, for you, it may come easily because you are a writer, but we have a lot of people who struggle in that area, writing, for content purposes, for engagement, writing for blog posts, writing for ebooks, writing for, whatever. And then I feel like every one of us has a book inside of us that's just burning to get out, right? So, I have my chapters outlined, and then I just keep filling them in. And that's how I do it. And it feels like I'm never going to finish. And I have this book kind of sitting there, right? So, what kind of nuggets can you give to us? I mean, we're in a world now where it's this digital world where we have to type, we have to write. This is our form of communication. And you wrote something the other day and you said, stop trying to pontificate. And I was like, yes, that's me. I'm like, I'm like, let me look for my thesaurus for the best way to say, I think you said flower or tulip or something like that. It was interesting. So, help us. What can we do? Like, how can we, I always say stop the madness, but literally, like, that's how I feel. Like when I sit in front of the computer, it's like,
Well, and that's a really interesting point, because in that moment, there's a lot of pressure, right? And I think that that's where the pontification comes from, is from a point of pressure. Right. And it's all pressure that we put on ourselves. So for some people, that pressure is, I'm not a real writer. Like, I can't really do this. I'm just a fraud. I'm not a real writer. For some people, it's, I need to sound really important when I say this, so people believe. And both of those are lies for different reasons, right? So if you think about who you were as a child, even if you were a shy child, which I'm guessing neither of us were, but even for a person who was a shy child, kids can tell stories very naturally, even if it's just what happened at school or on the playground or the boy they like or the boy they don't like. Those stories come out very easily. And then at some point we forget that, we block that, or we think as grown-ups we need to like make it sound very important. And neither of those are true. So if we can tell a story from a place of sincerity, from a place of being real, and get that out, that in and of itself, right, the word author comes from authority. And the sincerity of that piece is what gives it authority. And so it doesn't need to sound fancy and flowery. It can, if that's your natural speaking style. If you're a doctor who needs to use very specific words for your industry, then it's very appropriate those words. But if you're writing a blog and you're writing it for your audience who are like coaching in your industry, it's okay to use the—
who are humans, right?
Describe that thing. Say what comes naturally to you, and people will be drawn to that.
Love it. So
some of that.
Yes. So I always say, talk like you're talking to your BFF. Yes. I like the BFF test. However, I will, total, transparency. I have all these degrees, and sometimes it's like, I feel like, I worked really hard to be able to say all these fancy words, and I want to use them. And so, what is the, and I wrote this because it's like the new, people think it's a new trend, but it's really not a new trend, because I think when we network with people, we've gone from in person to virtual. And so, a lot of people forget that it's called social media, and the social part is like a party, right? And so people should be having fun and enjoying the party. And you wouldn't show up at a party and, just start spewing all this, verbiage and these, educated words that you wouldn't use if you were, like if you're in a social place. So I think that's the part that is sometimes hard, because you are like, I'm a business owner. I want to appear professional. I want to also let people know that I am educated, and I'm not just, someone who, paid GoDaddy to have a website and just slapped my name on there and then I'm here. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think I put the new trend, because a lot of people said, what is the new trend on connecting via social media, and how to do that through our words? Like,
well,
I don't know if that makes sense.
It's a really interesting point that many times, not all times, but many times people choose fancy words because they can hide behind them. And so if I don't quite understand something, but I throw in a really fancy word, right? If I say like neurosynthesis, you're like, wow, she must be really smart. I have no idea that's a thing, right? I just made that up. Maybe it is a thing, maybe it isn't. I just made that up.
It actually is.
Okay, so neurosynthesis, right? Like, great, so we're putting together neurons. I don't know what we're doing, but yeah. But it sounded very smart. I'm not smart on that topic. I don't even know what it is. And so the advice that I give to writers is, can you explain this concept to a 6-year-old? Because if you
Right.
explain it to a young person, then you explain it to anyone. And if you think about it, if you're at the party and you meet an astrophysicist and you're a curious person, as I am, and you say, hey, what do you do for a living? And they start blah, 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 and astrophysicists, blah, blah, you're going to say, gosh, I got to go get a drink. I'm not interested, right? But if they're able to come down to your level and say, look, this is a really exciting project I'm working on, and it works like this, you're going to walk away enlightened. And I think that what happens sometimes when we become these amazing experts on things is that we forget where we started. And people who are outside of our industry, people who are coming to us for help expressly, aren't at the same education level that we are. And it's okay sometimes to throw in the jargon or to call things what they're actually called within our industry. But we also need to remember that we need to explain those things to outsiders so that they can understand those things. And those are just principles of good teaching and also good engagement with people around us, because no one wants to hang out with the guy who just wants to use smart words so that everyone thinks he's smart. We all want to be seen as experts. And so the bridge between those two is to be able to explain to people in lay terms the really complicated, complex ideas that we know in our heads.
Right. So, okay, I love it, because I think that's where a lot of people struggle. Like, a lot of people struggle between like professionalism and BFFness. Is that a word?
It is how you said it.
Their BFFness. Hold on, I'm picking up my pen. Their BFFness, right? They're trying to be professional. They're trying to be authentic. Everyone's trying to be authentic. That's the new, that's like that word, right? Authentic is used. It's like played out now. I'm like, we're so authentic that we shouldn't even use that word anymore. But one of the things, so then there's the other side of this. So it's like you are, okay, now I'm comfortable. I'm ready to be a BFF. I'm ready to share with you my nuggets of wisdom, my story that's inside of me. I'm ready to get it out there. So how do I start? Because I think we struggle with, well, I'm going to tell you what I struggle with. And I'm sure there's other people out there like me. Okay, so I struggle with, there's nothing new in this world. There's nothing new. I'm not going to teach you anything new. Do you know what I mean? I'm just going to teach you, but I'm going to teach you based on my experience, and the way I teach and my story is what's going to resonate with you, and hopefully, you'll be attracted to that. But I'm not going to teach you anything new, because there's not really a whole lot of new out there. Yeah, I can teach you about a new app or a new way of marketing your business. But the truth is, at the core of it, I'm going to teach you how to build relationships, because that's how you're going to make money, like in your business, that's how you're going to grow. But when I sit down at my computer and I'm like, all right, I'm going to blog. And I hate blogging. I will sit here and I will talk all day. I'll put this camera on and I will give you nuggets. And if I have to write it, it's like, ah. So how do you encourage, like, what kind of process or prompts or how do people even get started to generate ideas? And then do you say put the clock on, sit there, spit out 10 things, 10 ideas on X topic? Or do you have a way to, how do I generate those ideas? Because most of the time I'm like, hey, I'm going to blog. And then I'm like rigor mortis sets in and I'm like, eh.
So you asked two different questions there. The first one is, how do I generate ideas on my blog? And the second one is, and then how do I do it? The first question, how do I generate ideas? So I use Google Docs. I have it on my phone. I have it everywhere with me. Some people use Evernote, whatever it is you use. Yep. I have a file in my Google Docs, and it's called Blog Ideas. And anytime that I'm in a conversation with people and they ask me a question, I say, okay, there's something I know about. I can write about that. Anytime that I hear something in passing or see something interesting, just jot it down in there. That way I've always got this reservoir of ideas of things that I can talk about, because I'm not a writer. I should be able to write things.
Right.
But if I force myself to be like, okay, it's Tuesday. Tuesday's the day you write stuff. I will have
Yeah,
nothing.
you got nothing.
It will sit there forever, right? So this is just a favor that I do myself to say, here are some things that I can talk about. And, when it's time for me to go write a blog, I can look at them and say, okay, this is the thing that I want to talk about today. That's what I'm really feeling. And then it's exciting for me. And if it's exciting for me, then it's going to be exciting for the people reading it.
Yes.
Boring for me, yeah. No one's going to want to read this stuff, right? So that's a really important element of that. I'm getting claps, I think. That's really amazing. Thank you.
Yes. I call them the whoop whoop signs because I really don't know what they're like. This.
Thank you. Those are wonderful. Thank you. And so your second question was, what's the process once I actually get to it? And so one of the things that is really, really important, and maybe this might be the nugget, it's about giving yourself permission to let writing be a process. So a lot of times we sit down in front of the computer and we start typing and we think that when we're done with that, we're going to have the thing that's the final product, which is ridiculous, because if you think about any other endeavor in your life, there are steps in the process, right? Like throw some ingredients in the bowl and say, oh, look, I made cupcakes, right? There are some other things we need to do before those become cupcakes. So the same is true of writing. So get your ideas out on the paper. Just do it. Just write them down.
Right.
No, it's not. Go have lunch. Come back. And then start to move your ideas around. Get rid of sentences. Choose better words. Decide that, well, maybe actually I had two ideas here. These are two separate blog entries that I'm going to do something with. Or, maybe I'm going to use bullet points here so that it's really clear what it is that I'm trying to say. You can make those stylistic decisions in the second and third round. It does not have to be perfect the first time. You just have to write it down, because you can't fix it until it's written.
Right. Right. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So when, so with writer's block, I mean, everyone gets writer's block. I'm sure you as a writer get writer's block too.
Absolutely.
And one of the reasons I chose to say, kick writer's block in the ass is because I feel like that's really, it's like this thing where it like paralyzes you from being able to get what get your words together, get your life together, get your business together, because we are so, we're in a content heavy world right now. Like everybody wants content out there. So my other question is, with engaging people and being yourself through social media, what are some, tips that you can give as far as like how to, is there like a length? Is there a, like, when you're posting on social media and you're sharing like a story or like, tips or what have you, like, is there a format that you would say, like, this really flows like a story, like, or this really is a good format to kind of use when you're trying to engage people?
I don't have a template or that kind of thing. And as far as length is concerned, people, and this better than I do in the marketing world, right? There's this debate and the wind sort of blows the other way every other week, like short form, long form, short form, long form.
Yeah.
What I tell writers that I work with is, and this is regardless of genre, this is regardless of the process, let the project be the length that the project needs, right? And so if someone writes a women's fiction novel that's 400 pages, that's outside of the confines of what is normally published for women's fiction. But there are authors out there who do that, and publishers publish it. And so those authors sit down and say, okay, all right, what am I going to do? I can only write 300 pages. They just wrote what? Right? And so write to the length that the piece needs. Beyond that, as far as, the other part of the question was, how do I get people to read my stuff? So, certainly if you're posting this online, there's the SEO component that I'm not even going to get into. But there's also the grabber, right? If you read the first paragraph of something and you don't want to keep reading, you don't. So
Right.
Focus some energy on that first paragraph. Could you bring in story, as you mentioned, as an element? That certainly would be an appropriate choice sometimes. A lot of times for content that might be a little drier, people get really clever at writing headlines, right? And then they have these teasers. So I want to keep reading and finding out, who got shot on this insurance website, like it sounds related, but I want to know. So I'm going to read about your car insurance. So just try to find an ethical way to draw people's interest into what you have to say. And the final point that I have on this is that there's a reason why we have cliches, and practice makes perfect is one of them. Now, I would never encourage anyone to attempt to be perfect, because that's an activity,
right?
But the point is that as we continue to practice, as we continue to generate headlines, as we continue to think about ways that we can draw our readers in by having an interesting first paragraph, it will get easier.
Okay, I'm writing your nuggets down. So I have this is my little sheet that I use. So every show I write down kind of like the highlights.
Oh, good.
The highlight reel. Just the highlight reel, even though we have the replay, but I like to have the highlights so then I can let people know what they're, what they should go watch in the replay.
Yeah. Well, tell them that I dance too. Woo.
Oh yeah, the dance is super important, and I feel like I should dance more. I feel like I'm being in this chair is constricting, so I probably will need to stand more. And see, my hair normally does not look like this. I think maybe 1 out of every 4 shows I have my hair done. It just so happens that I had my hair done and we have a show. So yeah, it's not normal. Normally I'm normally I'm chilling. Normally I'm chilling. So
look at her.
I know. So tell me about what does a writing coach do? What exactly, tell me a little bit about what you can help someone with, with because I know you have a program that you have coming up, right?
I do.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit. Yeah. So one thing I feel is I don't think a lot of people know what a writing coach can help them with. So I'd love for you to kind of share a little bit about what that process would look like.
Sure. So a lot of the work that I do around coaching has to do with people being stuck. So they want to start something, they're halfway through something, and they want to take it to the next level. They're not quite sure perhaps what that is. Some people know, I want to publish this novel. I want to get this screenplay produced. This is something that
right.
Some people just say, I'm not sure if I'm a writer. Can you help me figure this out? And what I do is help to guide them through questions to their goals in the next level. And the reason why I can do that is because of my experience in the craft. I've got a lot of experience around lots of fancy sounding words and labels and what things are called. So I can give a lot of really on point suggestions about things that people can do within their genre to take it to the next level. But I've also got many, many years of coaching and teaching experience so that I can address people's individual needs based on how they interface with the world. Right. So I was a Teacher of the Year nominee during my teaching career because of what I...
Go ahead, girl.
Right. Yeah. So I studied neuroscience. And so what I was able to do in my classroom and now my coaching is to take that knowledge of how the brain works and of learning styles and just a lot of information around the way that people process information and apply that to writers and to help them to see themselves as writers and to help them see what their gifts are and to help them move to the next level. And so far, knocking on wood, I've got a 100% success rate.
Woo woo! I love it. I love it. Well, I can share a little bit about working with you. I felt like I love that you had a process. Like you asked me what my story was, and you really you made me kind of go through the path of like where I started, and you found the area of resistance, like where there was like change, and and it was interesting because if I would have looked at my story myself, I would not have seen my story that way. Like I was like, well, when I was a little girl, these things happened. And so that's probably what shaped me. And you were like, yeah, but that has nothing to do with this. And so and I was like, oh, okay, well, thanks, Annalisa. You just like crushed me. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it gave me, no, I'm just kidding. You gave me clarity, which was really good. You helped me find how to weave my journey into my coaching practice. And that's really what I needed, because there are so many things that I've done in my life. And sometimes it's harder for us to tell our own story most of the time than for us to tell someone else's story. So that's awesome. If you guys have questions in the chat, I know there's one or two of you guys out there, please feel free to type them in the bottom while we have Annalisa on here. You guys are, I hate the term pick your brain, but I give you permission for the next few minutes to pick her brain because she really does have a wealth of knowledge. And, one of the things that I find interesting is, like you were saying, the long form, short form thing. Even with blog posts, I find like a lot of people there's just like, it's so varied. And so you see people who post long form, you see people who post short form, and then it's like, people go into the SEO thing, which, that's, like you said, a whole nother world. But as far as actual people actually reading the content that you provide, do you think there's and I don't want to say formula because I don't like using, saying it's a formula, but do you think there is what's the word? Like a way to target, like if you're telling a story, telling a story and teaching are two different things, right? Like, but they're the same. Like if you tell a story, you can teach a lesson, right? And so do you think that it's beneficial to tell a story or to be, like a fact giver? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think is what do you think is what do you think is on trend or important or, necessary, I guess, at this, where we are in 2016 technology and social media craze?
Two important questions that every writer needs to ask before writing anything.
Ooh.
And those two questions are, who is my audience,
mm-hmm.
and what's my purpose? And the answers to those two questions are going to dictate what the form of the piece
mm-hmm.
should take. Right? So if I am an auto insurance company, then I should probably be really serious. Well, except that we've got this little lizard running around advertising an insurance company,
mm-hmm.
right? So they found a way to reach their audience and to give some quality material in a way that was humorous and engaging,
mm-hmm.
but also factual.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the reason why this little gecko has been around for so long is because it hit the nail on the head of walking that balance that you're talking about sort of more entertaining and giving information, which is ultimately what we want to provide for our clients. Animal characters aren't going to work within the context of every brand, of course. Right. So it's about finding that place and finding your voice, mm-hmm. right? Because if we've got a triangle of how to write, we've got audience and purpose, which I just said, and tone as the last part of that triangle. So tone and voice are sort of the same thing. Once I've identified my audience and my purpose, then I can make a determination about what's the tone that I'm going to address these people with, and what's the balance of what I can get away with as far as entertainment mm-hmm. and factual information. So is there a formula? No, but there are some questions that can lead you to a better influencer, right? And ultimately, the number of hits that you get on any given post are going to tell you what people are interested in, and do more of that.
Very cool. So I think, when you're saying like, who's my audience and what's my purpose, like that totally makes sense. Now the tone, tone is hard when you're writing. And I think it's so crucial. Like, I always think of like people who send text messages and you're like, like,
Are you mad at me?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I don't know if we're friends anymore. I'm trying to figure this out. So, with tone, like how are there ways to, are there tips to help with tone? Because I feel like sometimes sometimes it takes me a while to kind of figure out, like, is this person like, is this a good post, or is this a bad post, or is this a good, like, I don't know if you're happy or sad or glad or mad or.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Exactly. Raise them up.
There we go. Well, one of the things that beginning writers do, people who specifically are looking to be fiction writers, and even perhaps nonfiction writers, is they look at the style of the writers they admire. Mm-hmm. And then they try to emulate that style, but they also try to extrapolate, what is it that I like about this? Mm-hmm. Is it the word choice? Is it the scenery mm-hmm. that this person is painting for me? What in this do I admire? And I think that we can learn a lesson from that technique in looking, and I'm sure that, this has got to be something you recommend to people, right? You want to know what your competition is. Right. So people say there's no competition. Anyway, the people who are in your same echelon
yeah.
are offering a similar product to you. So you want to be checking out those people. So check out their blogs, check out their material. What kind of tone are they using? Or check out somebody in an entirely different industry. What kind of tone are they using? Do you admire that tone? Is there something there that you can learn? And obviously we're not copying somebody else's mm-hmm. blog information. That would be plagiarism. That would be bad. What we are doing is kind of saying, what is it about the way that they're conveying their message that seems to work? Is it because they're using short paragraphs? Mm-hmm. Is it because they're being very familiar and they're saying, hey, dude, buy my stuff?
Right.
What is it about they're communicating that I admire, that I think might work for my brand? And if you look at 20, 25 different blogs and really do that work to think through that, in the middle of all of those, you're going to come up with a whole bunch of ingredients that you really like mm-hmm. that you want to try out. And as you try out those different elements, mm-hmm. they might not work for you. You might not feel comfortable that way, or you might decide that you're going to turn your audience off if you do that. Mm-hmm. But that experimentation process is really going to inform a lot about what tone you want to take in your blog mm-hmm. posts in general.
No. So, and I think you clearly this is your expertise, but you hit it on the head with it's like you can. It's like you can be familiar, or you can be, you can find the balance between like familiar and professional, somewhere in the middle there. And I like what you mentioned about kind of, it's like having like virtual mentors, like you're like, okay, let me see this person's style and this person's style. What can I learn from them? And kind of glean from that, from each person, to kind of make your own sauce, right? Your own secret sauce. So, because that's really what it's about. So right. I love that. Kind of gleaning. Because I think, a lot of times we feel like, well, there's the thought process sometimes that it's like, don't look at anybody else's paper, because then you're going to sound like them. You know what I mean? Like, don't look at anybody else's paper. But I think that there's a lot to be said for learning from others and kind of like what works and what feels good, because whatever way you write, I think it has to feel good to you. So
that's absolutely true.
Yeah, it has to feel good. So I think sometimes we, we don't want to write as we think others want us to be. We want to write as we feel. So then there is grammar. It's like I feel like we should just end the show now. Can we just end it now?
Yeah.
Just cut. I'm like the worst. I am the worst. Actually, today I posted something and then I was like, oh my gosh, I posted your instead of your. And like, then I had to go back and edit it. And I'm like, that makes me so mad. I posted that. But my grammar, I mean, that's like, a silly thing, but I am like one of those ... people. My grammar is not good.
That is called.
It's called what?
An ellipsis.
Ellipsis. Yes, I use lots of ellipses. Ellipses.
Ellipses.
Ellipses.
And that's the plural. There you go.
Ellipses.
Octopus, octopi, whatever.
Okay. So yeah. So I use a lot of those, and I am good at storytelling. I'm not a good writer, like grammatically. That's not my thing. And I actually have a little note on my like about me page that says like, if you came here for the grammar, you might as well leave now because that's not my thing. Like I can help you with your business, but I can't help you with your grammar and you can't help me with mine. So how do you feel that plays a part in this whole keeping it real, writing, authentic vibe that is so clearly, trending right now? And, I mean, we live in a reality TV type of world. And so people, talk like they speak. So how do you feel that affects or does it enhance your writing for this environment?
I'm a writer, so I'm going to give a writer's answer.
Get your grammar checked, girl. You're like, get your grammar checked, girl.
If I show up to a business meeting in sweatpants and a hoodie, probably you're going to think that I don't have anything very intelligent to say. And unfortunately, that's just a judgment that people make. And if I show up on the page and I'm text speaking to you and trying to explain something about my business, likewise, you're probably going to think that I don't have anything intelligent to say. And I mean, are those fair judgments? Well, we could have a philosophical debate about that.
Right.
But the reality of the situation, those are just prejudices that people approach business with. So because that's the reality in which we function and we all want people to choose us and come to us for our business, we need to present ourselves in the most professional manner possible. Ergo, grammar is important. So, I would say to people who just say, like grammar, I need to help you. This is not a difficult thing. There are people like me out there who can like tell you all the parts of speech, diagram your sentences for you if you want. Find somebody like that to give you a hand, to help you out, to polish up that writing, and do not worry about it. Do not let that stop you from getting your message out there, because the message is more important than the structure, and somebody can clean that stuff up.
All right, let's see. New Burn Now. What's your name, New Burn Now? Can you type it in the chat? I think it all depends on your audience. If you're not a writer, you should capitalize on your strengths. I am Sandra Barnes. You're great on camera. I am all about camera. I don't want to write ever. Like I could do videos forever. I don't enjoy. Thanks, Wendy. I feel like writing takes me a long time, and it takes away from me being this person. Like I want to share my personality, and I can't sometimes do that through just writing. So without being long-winded, like I write and I'm like, yeah. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I think she has a really good point. I mean, I think that she's spot on. I'm a writer, so it makes a lot of sense for me to write.
Do you like to write, Wendy?
People aren't going to hire.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
People aren't going to hire a writer who can't demonstrate that he or she can write. Yes. That makes a whole lot of sense. If I were a videographer, it would make a whole lot of sense for me to have a lot of videos on my website. In your particular marketing, you don't necessarily need to be a blogger or a video person. You can use that. And so if you're great on camera, do it. If you're a great writer, do it. If you've got another clever way to do it and you want to sing and tap dance about your brand, then that's great.
Hold on. I'll dance. I'll dance. All right.
All right, we got it. It's a dance.
Whoop, whoop. That's the dance party version. Okay, so, and this is what happens when you're branding after dark at 7:43 my time. So it's like, what, 10:43 your time? Wow! It's like that would be past my bedtime. I don't last long when it's like 10 o'clock rolls around. I'm like, and I help people that are up at this hour. So, which is kind of interesting. All right, so we're almost like towards the end. We have like 15 minutes left. So I want to kind of give you, if you could, like, what are like the magic nuggets that you want to share about kicking writer's block in the behind? Like, what is like your takeaways that you really want to share with people, and that we can kind of actionable steps that we might be able to take to like really get our writing back? Because I do want to write. I have to write all the time. I have to send out those emails, you know, those emails. and I'm like, hey, y'all. That's how my emails start. Hey, peeps. Hey, party peeps.
That's great.
But yeah.
I think that's great. That's voice. That's your tone, and it works. I think that the biggest thing that I talk people through in sessions with them has to do with giving ourselves permission to be a writer, getting over fear. And the biggest thing that is a block to being able to write, to access creativity, is fear. And so being able to talk about those fears and work through those fears a little bit is a really powerful thing to be able to do. And just like anything else that we do in the business realm, to say, you know what, I'm terrified.
Yes.
And I'm going to try this anyway. And, it's good to have somebody like me there to really support that endeavor and to say, great, this is wonderful. You're doing some really great things here. Here are the strengths of this piece, so that you start to get confidence around what it is that you're doing, and that you actually have some skills, because we all have the ability to tell a story. We all have the ability to communicate ideas. It's just that many of us somewhere along the way had somebody tell us that we couldn't write, and we believed them. Yeah. So my job as a writing coach is to kick that old idea out and get you writing.
So you're like a writing mindset coach too. You're like, I will change your mindset.
Yes. I think that's part of the work of working through that, because the thing is, unlike many other skills out there in the world, writing is something that we've done, since we were like holding a crayon like that, So we've got some issues around writing, many of us, and so we've got to work those things out so we can sit down and let that writing flow.
So pen and paper or typing?
Personally,
yes. Pen and paper. Okay. Yeah, I'm a pen and paper too.
I can type if I have to, but if I'm going to do something creative when I'm working on my novels, they're handwritten, which is a mess to have to go back and type.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kept a journal my whole pregnancy because I really wanted to like document like this whole thing. And then when my daughter was born, and so I have like a journal by my bed. And at some point it was like, somebody told me about an app, and I downloaded it, and it was like, this is a way you can journal like every day. And it was like, I don't know how people do this. I mean, it might work for someone, but it just didn't feel right. I didn't feel like I was journaling. I felt like I was back, on Facebook or something, you know what I mean? Like, here I am telling my story.
Yeah.
So I love pictures. Like, that's how I tell my stories, are usually through pictures. I love my camera. I love taking pictures. I am that person that's like, everything I'm doing. I mean, if I don't have my physical, my actual camera, I have my phone, and I'm taking pictures of everything. And so, that's the way that I tell stories. And so I love that, you can share your story through, word or photos or video. Like, we just have so many different options, and everyone has all these, the ability to do it in all those different ways. Because I feel like I don't feel the written word is ever going to go away. You know what I mean? Like, it's not So, I mean, it doesn't matter how, the newspaper can go away. All these things can go away, but, we're always going to write somewhere, I think that that's always going to be something important. And, being a little nostalgic at 7:48 p.m. my time. But, I have nothing with my mom's penmanship on it. My mom passed away, and I feel like I remember she used to write, and her writing was not very good. She used to write me letters when I was in boarding school. And I remember those letters, and I think about it all the time, that what we write can somehow, after we're gone, those things will still be around. And I do have like one or two things with her writing on it, but none of her letters that she had written. My sister is like a hoarder, so she has like all kinds of things, all kinds of things that my mom has sent her, but I don't. And so I always think about that, like everything that you put out there into the world can still, it still will be there when you're gone. I wrote many moons ago, 2007, I think it was, I wrote for a little magazine, and it wasn't anything fancy whatsoever. It was like local cultural news for the Hispanic community. And I found a piece that I did, and I was laughing because I'm like, 2007, like, why is this even still floating around the internet? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just seems strange it's still out there. But even far after we're gone, like, our words will stay there. And I think it's so encouraging to, to get past the writer's block and be able to put our words out there. So I'm so excited, that you came on the show tonight. I think, total nuggets, total gems. So one of the things you said tonight that really resonated with me is that author comes from authority, and how are we using our authority, our expertise and our authority to connect and be out there in the world. And most of my audience is business owners, right? People who have their own business, but a lot of them are bloggers. A lot of them have a book stored inside their hearts that they want to get out there. And so I hope that they were encouraged tonight by what you shared and kind of get their butt in gear and start writing. So these were some of the takeaways from tonight. And I know that you have a coaching program, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to share it. I wrote it down, but since I went back and forth with the link changes tonight, I don't have it in front of me. So I'll let you share a bit about that. But I will give some of the takeaways. So one of the takeaways you said was blog ideas. Any questions you have from people who are, possible clients, anyone who asks you about your business or ask for clarity about something you do, I feel those are like gems. So I actually just gave this advice in my group the other day, and I said, when you're thinking about what to write or thinking about, how to connect with your peeps, think about the questions they ask you, because that's what they want. If they're asking you questions, that's like a plethora of, just topics for you to go and pull from. Another thing you can do is survey your people, which is kind of what I do. I survey my followers, and I ask them what their struggles are, what their needs are, what their, whatever it is. And those questions become my topics. You said, give yourself permission to let writing be a process. And so it doesn't have to be perfect right then and there. And you can have time to kind of, go back and tweak, go have a hamburger, come back, marinate, let it soak in, right? And then come back and move things around, get rid of things, or make adjustments as needed. And then you said, let the project be the length of what it needs to be. So if might be long, it might be short, but whatever feels the best, that's what you can do. Good night, Wendy. Thanks so much. Wendy says, I was encouraged. Thank you, ladies. I'm looking forward to learning more from both of you. Have a good night. Thanks, Wendy. We loved having you. Yes.
Be sure to check the show links, because I'm about to make a really nice offer.
Ooh. Yeah, come back to the replay, because the link will be live since we are recording this time. I forgot to click the record button last week, and it was like we had like so many people asking questions, and I realized at the end that I had not recorded the show. I wanted to like shoot myself. And then the last takeaway you said were 2 questions to ask before you write are who is your audience and who is my audience and what is my purpose, or my purpose for writing this. So I think those nuggets alone were worth, just everything. Because if you just put that in front of you and use that to guide your writing, I really feel like you can you're getting a ton out of this, ton of value. So tell me about your program, because I know we're going to be working together and I'm super excited about that. But tell me what you got coming up the pike or down the pike. Are we going up or down? Where are we going? Down or up?
So I do one-on-one coaching with people, and you can find out that at what you go out on a Friday night, datewiththemuse.com.
I'm writing it.
I have one opening coming up. Otherwise, I do online group sessions on a regular basis. It's a lot of encouragement, craft talk, right? So I'm able to walk you through some of the things that you're doing well and to talk about how the craft works. So those are really amazing. We have people from all over the world join us on those, so people can find out about those at datewiththemuse.com as well. And the last thing that I have going on is a 4-day writing retreat in Delray Beach, Florida, over St. Patrick's Day weekend. I only have 4 spots left, and we're going to open it up with a special promotion for your listeners and for your listeners only, for a special discount for a short time. So they get $250 off the retreat for checking in with you, and we'll take care of that in the show notes. Okay.
Perfect. You are amazing. Is there anything I can write in here of is everything at datewiththemuse.com, all the information?
So that retreat, I'm in the process of moving all of that information over from my author website. So they can find information on my personal website, annalisaparent.com/retreat.
Excellent. So awesome. So many awesome nuggets. And you've inspired me to write a little bit, just a little bit. Just a little bit. And I want to thank you because we met online. We had our chat. You were amazing. And now we're going to be working together, and I'm super excited about that. I love following your posts online because they're always full of value, and you practice what you preach. You're very engaging and very authentic, but still offering value and professional. So if you guys are watching, definitely follow her online. And you have a Facebook group. Is that for any writers?
Any writers at all. It's daily writing tips and writing prompts. And you can join us on Facebook at The Writer's Secret to Success.
The Writer's Secret to Success. Yeah, I'll write it down there for you guys. All right. Awesome. So excited. I know this was great. And actually it's like one of the this time have been the best as far as like connectivity, because Blab is still in a beta version. So sometimes we get a little bit of problems. So I'm really glad that everything worked out tonight. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys are watching the replay, thank you guys for spending this time with us. You can find me at brandyoulove.com. And if you're a mom and a busy woman who is juggling family and business and looking for a support system, a support group, come join us over at Branding After Dark. And you can find me on Facebook at Branding After Dark, or just do the hashtag Branding After Dark. Thank you, Annalisa, for being here, and I will catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.